Hello. Wow, thank you so much to Richard for that incredible intro. He's the master of introducing us poets, so I greatly appreciate it. And thank you to Joyce and everyone at Poetry Flash and all the sponsors. I'm honored to be here today. I'm going to be reading from my recent book, And If the Woods Carry You. And I'm mostly going to just read through the poems, but I will give a brief intro to one if I feel it's needed. But I'm not that great at off the cuff, so I'm just going to pretty much read through. Thank you. So this is the opening poem of the book. It's got the title in it, and I think it sets up a lot of the concerns of this book. This is called Lullaby with Fireflies and Rising Seas. And if the woods carry you into their deep and tangled, if the woods claim you, elf or sprite, and spirit you from me, tell me your first fireflies were enough. The lawn they candled to enchantment, because the dark of childhood is mythed and monstered, but my dark mind glints off every surface, sharp enough to slit. Tonight, ice sheets slide like seals into the sea, and in Nice, parents hurl their children out of a truck's path, their only prayer a heartbeat's worth of please. Maybe, like me, the only God you can conceive is a kind of wakefulness. Feel the stream of night tugging your ankles. See the seams of night torn with those brief lights. Sometimes I wring the fine bones of your wrist with my forefinger and thumb and wonder at the monstrous love that flung you into this. In every fairy tale, the mother dies and is replaced by someone wicked. It's true. I want to keep you safe, but I want to keep you mine. I never meant to fly you like a kite. I never meant to stay behind. But the mother is a cottage the daughter flutters from. The mother more cage than bird, and the parting clean as a licked sword. The future, a castle that can't be child-proofed, and the fairy tale, still open on my lap, is not a map. So this next one is inspired by those Growing Up Wild nature documentaries that kind of follow the precarity of a young life out in the wild. And I was watching them with my daughters when they were very young. So this is called Growing Up Wild. Look how tall the pines loom, how deep glacial streams gash fields of lupine. It is dangerous to be a child. The star-cut wilds spark with rhythms and nothing rhymes when her grief cry cracks the Precambrian sky, a blue so ancient, I almost believe humans will never touch it. Oh, but we are worming up there too. Parasites grazing the mind of God. There is so little left untouched, and God knows we can't stop touching. I hurry my babies along well-marked trails in well-mapped woods through a camouflaged dazzle of song. A doe stills us with her side eye while her fawns fleet into the trees. So many creatures slide from our gaze, little flames of meeting. No matter how much I wish this sword sheen green for us, the timber shadows laying down the planks of coming night, no matter how much I want those Arctic stars swarmed thick against a black that seems somehow plush and vacant at once, I sometimes fear there is nowhere safer to keep the wild than outside. Every territory, I'm told, once claimed must be defended, so we kill, even with our desire to live gently. But there is no gentleness between hunger and what feeds it. Oh, it is dangerous to love a child. Thanks. So I grew up on the edge of the Point Reyes National Seashore, and a major feature of my childhood was these non-native fallow deer, many of whom were white, and they were eradicated a number of years ago now. And so this is a poem about them. It's called Time Capsule, The Fallow Deer. Reader, they have slaughtered the white deer of my childhood. My father enchanted them into unicorns as they drifted in with the fog that filled our valleys. They were imports, ornamental, shipped in by some rich eccentric for his pleasure. Reader, it's true. They outgrew their pen, outlived their keeper. Up close, they were not white, really, more day-old snow, their fur matted with ticks and burrs, their horns not spiral, but branched. Reader, they were nothing like unicorns, but I loved to spot them from my father's truck as we drove the sinuous road to the coast, how they came out like stars in the scrub oak. My father kept a gun in the back seat. He kept a season for killing, the other 3 for wonder. I woke once to headlights slashed across my bedroom window, a buck strung up by his hind legs in the pear tree, belly split, sternum to pelvis, my father cutting him down into pieces we could swallow. Those evenings, though, my father never fired, only whistled to startle them up from their grazing so I could call them by their antlers. Buttonbuck, spike, doe. They called them invasive and shot them from helicopters. Who were they, reader, to draw the line of belonging? The white deer were my fireflies, my everyday magic, but who am I? Above dry leaves soaked silent in the crackle of starlight, the dead buck shone, nothing like a unicorn. Up close, it is harder to stomach what we do with this awe, with these hands. Right. So this is a poem for my childhood tree. It's called Bury Me in the Woods of My Childhood. As a child, I pledged myself to a tree. A walnut in the backyard I called mine, my tree, though it wasn't as presumptuous as it sounds. It was just, I didn't know a word for what I felt for the tree, and there was no word for whatever it felt for me, the girl who grazed her knees daily on its silver bark, the girl who hugged with her whole body, who closed her eyes and listened to the humming of leaf and limb, the aura of insect and bird chatter in its crown, my private galaxy of sound. Against my cheek, my tree was comfort to the small muscles in my jaw, forever smoothing the world into something I could stomach. Theirs is a slow time of creaks and groans and sways, and when I lived there, I was slow too. I remained a girl, though I grew older, long-limbed and limber, my weight feline in its languor, How I loved the leaves where coolness lingered as sun lit up the veins inside, and I pressed my palm against one as if it were a hand, as if to say, there is something now between us, my own ancient. I was alive. I was in time, drifting as I was the afternoon entire, cradled but not sleeping, rocking but not a single bough, breaking not a crack, so awfully tender, so full of sap. I wonder if the tree remembers me. I wonder if it asks where I have gone, and the network of fungi beneath my feet lights up with the symmetry of synapse. She is here. She grows heavy, then light again. So, let's see. I think. All right, so here. Okay, I think I have time for two more. One's from a sequence in the middle of the book that kind of imagines, I guess, takes the idea of like it's irresponsible or selfish or even immoral to bring a child into this world, which is a sentiment I completely understand, and yet I did it. So it's kind of grappling with that and taking it to its conclusion, which is if humans were to consciously like kind of let themselves die out. So this is about the last human. It's called Eve Alone. Say the last human ever born is female. Say she outlives the last of men. Let us call her Eve and wish her a year or two on earth without the gaze of any Adam. Let her devour the fruit of any tree she pleases. Whatever wisdom sparkles in the sugar, let her chew in the cherish of her own mind. Above, the trees speak blossom, bird song. Eve has begotten no one, is beguiled by all she sees. Below, a slower synapse inches, root tip to root tip. The forest abides no border, but the desert and the sea. Eve touches the heads of the animals. Their names flash in her brain before vanishing. At daybreak, at nightfall, she releases every verse and prayer ever captured from the prismed air. When Eve falls, a rapture of insects shrouds her body. Scavengers disrobe, microbes unchristen to the bone. The whole web of creation crackles with her as she rises into the crown of ash, of alder, birch, river, and silver, cedar, and elm. Lord, the names are so beautiful. The woman more striking for being called Eve. Of course, Eden was always made of language, never trees. Is that my time? Sorry, I forgot to look at my phone when I started.
Yeah, you've got a minute.
Okay. 2 minutes. Okay, awesome. All right, so I've got time for my last poem, which is called Time Capsule, the Poem. I want the poem to hold everything, the way my body holds the whole and wholly of me, the way the body holds both, bile duct and silver snaps of synapse, the way the brain holds both, reptile and God glow, both fight or flight and dreams of flying. I want the poem to hold the way my mind holds, my hand on the wheel and the war, on the radio and the distance between bombs and borders, bodies and ash. I want this poem to hold the dead, both mine and ours, and the future that is tomorrow, and the tomorrow we won't live to see. I want this poem to hold the way one moment holds, both the beloved and the trees outside as they ring a new year, in which another language disappears, rain on a roof or something softer, the way all hard things soften in death into what surrounds them, the way our bodies soften into each other, the way love holds both time and no other clock but the soft, soft, soft of rain. The way the clock chimes now, and now holds both here, a body burning with desire, and there, a forest on fire, and above us, all the stars, and within us all, the stars. I want this poem to hold space, and to hold a space for you to fill after it fails. Thank you all so much.